Hey there, friends, and welcome back to another 3-Minute Thoughts. My name is Derek, and in the next 3 minutes, we're going to continue the story of the Israelite people through David in 2 Samuel 16 through 18. 2 Samuel 16 is all about betrayal, cursing, and unlikely loyalties. So David flees Jerusalem, and the hits just keep coming. So Saul's former servant, Ziba, meets David with supplies, but throws Mephibosheth under the bus, claiming that he stayed behind to seize power. David quickly gives Ziba all of Mephibosheth's inheritance. And then there's another relative of Saul who comes out and curses David, hurling stones and accusations. Abishai wants to strike him down, but David humbly accepts the moment as potential discipline from God. Chapter 16, verse 10 says, "Let him curse, for the Lord has told him to." Meanwhile, back in Jerusalem, there's another man, one of David's former advisors, is now counseling Absalom. His first advice is to publicly sleep with David's concubines. What is happening? He also urges a swift attack on David, but this is providentially rejected in favor of another guy's counsel, who is David's planted spy, which will give David a little bit more time. All right, so as we turn into chapter 17, I'm going to kind of overlook some of the names because, quite frankly, most of us glaze over, our eyes glaze over when we hear some of these names. So if you remember, David's former advisor who was giving some advice to Absalom. Anyway, so the military advice that he gave was sound. Strike David now while he's tired. But these appeals that come in, they appeal to Absalom's pride. And so Absalom listens to these other voices instead, giving David the time he needs to regroup. Meanwhile, David is warned through a covert network, priests, sons, servant girl, and he crosses the Jordan to safety. This advisor who's against David, seeing his counsel was rejected and perhaps foreseeing the rebellion's failure, he goes home and takes his own life, a tragic end to one of David's most trusted former allies. Now, as we close things out in chapter 18, David organizes his troops and wants to go with them, but his men plead with him to stay behind. The battle takes place in the forest of Ephraim. David's men are victorious, and the terrain itself works against Absalom's army. Absalom, riding on a mule, gets caught by his hair in a tree. He's left hanging and helpless. Despite David's orders, Joab kills Absalom, piercing him with 3 javelins. This gut-wrenching cry from the people shows the torn heart of a king, a man who loved his son despite his rebellion. That's verse 33. "Oh, my son Absalom, my son Absalom, would I have died instead of you." God's heart bleeds for us the way David's bleeds for his sons. Be well, friends.